Hello everyone out there. You're welcome to Literature of 247. This is a platform where the arts and science of literature are discussed. This particular video is about a non-African play titled A Man for All Seasons. A Man for All Seasons is written by Robert Bolt. This is Act 1, Scenes 4 to 8 of A Man for All Seasons. Earlier on this platform, we've discussed the plot summary of A Man for All Seasons as well as Act 1, Scenes 1 to 3 of the play. If you need the link to any of those videos, you can send your message through the message box that you need the link to any of those videos I've just mentioned. And if you are new on this channel, try and click on the subscribe button so that you have access to all our videos. You can also click the bell icon so that you'll be notified whenever we release any video. Let's go ahead and do the analysis. A Man for All Seasons, Act 1, Scenes 4 to 8. Thomas More arrives home at 3 a.m. That is, he's now back to his home. That is Chelsea. Thomas More arrives home at 3 a.m. Stewart welcomes him and names to put on his slippers for him. That is his servant, the common man. He's surprised to see Roper in the house at that odd hour of the night. Margaret tells her father that Roper asks for her hand in marriage. Roper is Margaret's boyfriend, and he's not telling his father that Roper is asking for her hand in marriage. More objects to it, and Roper tries to convince More that he will soon become a lawyer and that his family is outstanding, though they may not be in the palace. Roper is trying to present himself as somebody important here to Thomas More, Margaret's father. More responds that there's nothing wrong with his family and is for tomb, but he is heretic. Thomas More is now trying to explain to him here that there's nothing wrong with his family. That is not the reason why he might not support his marriage to Margaret. Let's hear further the explanation from Thomas More. More responds that there's nothing wrong with his family and his fortune, but he's heretic. Roper shows his displeasure to More, referring to him as a heretic. He says it is the Catholic Church that is heretical. He mentions Henry's divorce and hopes that the Pope will be in support. He even condemns the Pope and calls him an antichrist. This infuriates More and tells Roper that he doesn't have a sense of time. He says that when he comes back to his senses, he will return to the Catholic Church. Roper was once a Catholic member before he leaves. More then asks him whether he came with his horse. Roper says he walked. More tells him to take a horse from the stables and go home. After Roper leaves, Margaret wishes to know his resolution on Roper. He says he wouldn't have a change of mind on him as long as he's heretic. Father and daughter discuss briefly about Roper's family. Margaret wishes to know the outcome of the father's meeting with the cardinal, but practically changes the discussion back to Roper. He says that his father is a duplicate of his son. Alice rushes in a nightgown and tells More that she saw Roper riding on her horse. More explains that Roper came to see Margaret and that he will bring back the horse. Alice says More should have beaten Margaret for receiving Roper late in the night. More defends Margaret that she is a delicate commodity because she is undergoing education, which is difficult to obtain. More sneezes, and Alice tells Margaret to bring hot water for him. She asks More about his meeting with Wolsey. He evades the question and changes the subject to Roper seeking Margaret's hand in marriage. Alice asks the question again, and More this time responds that he wants him to read a dispatch to Rome. She realizes that More doesn't want to talk about it again, so she does not want to ask any more questions. As Margaret enters with a cup of for his father, Ali tells More that Norfolk suggested that More should replace Wolsey as the Chancellor. More responds that Norfolk is dangerous and say they don't want another Chancellor so far Wolsey is alive. Margaret takes the cup to his father but says he doesn't want it. Ali tries to convince him to drink it. She says, great men also get colds like ordinary people. More then warns her against such a seditious statement and says he will drink it in bed. Now, Act 1, Scene 5. This one is a short scene. A red rope is spotted and the cardinal's hat is on the floor. The common man enters and passes them into his basket. He then describes the death of Cardinal Wolsey attributed officially to pulmonary pneumonia. But the real cause was a broken heart, occasioned by the king's displeasure over the handling of the divorce case by Wolsey. He died on his way to the prison on the charges of high treason. The common man says that Thomas More, it is supposed to be said, sorry for that, says that Thomas More is appointed to succeed Wolsey. The common man asserts that Thomas More, a scholar, is believed to be a saint by the people. He also agrees that it is possible that he is a saint, as being touted. Act 1, Scene 6. In Hampton Court, Cromwell sits halfway up the stairs and Rich comes in. Cromwell tries to mock Rich of his new job as the secretary and librarian to Norfolk. He says he's promoted into the king's service. Cromwell then asks Rich why he doesn't have a better job, since Thomas More, the new Lord Chancellor, is his friend. Rich responds that More is not really his friend. With this response from Rich, Cromwell asks if he will be ready for a job offer. Rich, who is suspicious of Cromwell, asks him the type of job he does for the king. Chapel, who just enters, asks the same question, and Cromwell says he does whatever the king asks him to do. He explained further that he recently arranged Henry's trip down the Thames on the maiden voyage of a new battleship, the Great Harry. Chapel then reminds Cromwell that the ship has fewer guns than Cromwell mentioned. He says the ship has 56 guns and not 66. He responds that the king plans to sail the ship to Thomas More's house to discuss the king's divorce. This shocks Signor Chapel, and he explains that Thomas More is unequivocal about his opinion on the divorce matter. But he has not really said anything about the matter. Matthew, Thomas More's steward, appears and the trial wishes to talk to him. Cromwell is able to ask Matthew about Thomas' opinion about the divorce, holding a coin for him to see. Matthew responds that More doesn't discuss it with his wife and daughter. He says he goes white whenever the topic is mentioned. Cromwell gives the coin to Matthew for his response. He then leaves and tries to convince Rich to follow him. Rich declines to follow him and takes a different direction. When Chapel returns, he beckons to Matthew. The latter reveals to him that More is a religious person. He says More wakes up at 6 and prays for an hour and a half. He lives only on bread and water during Lent. He goes to confession twice a week. Chapel also gives Matthew a coin and leaves. When Chapel leaves, Rich enters and requests from Matthew what he told Chapel about giving him a coin. He told Chapel after giving him a coin that he also gave Matthew a coin. They are getting information from him and they are paying him for the service. Matthew says he would have given him several pieces of information, but he told him what he wanted to know. In response to another question from Rich, he says that Chapel said Sir Thomas is a good churchman. Rich leaves afterward in the opposite direction of Cromwell. Matthew then tells the audience that he is paid by the 3 men for common knowledge information. He says the men will make a big secret of the information, so they will not feel duped. He says the coins is paid are more than his earning in the fortnight. That is, the coins that the three men have just given to him. Now this is Act 1, Scene 7. King Henry is being expected at Moss home in Chelsea. Alice, Norfolk, and Margaret are preparing for his arrival. Thomas More is nowhere to be found. The trio asks Matthew when they see him of the whereabouts of More. That is, they ask Matthew about the whereabouts of Thomas More. Matthew says he knows nothing. Norfolk comments that More is not going to gain anything from his attitude towards the king. He adds that is not how Wolsey made himself great, by disrespecting the king. Now, to them, they believe that Thomas More is disrespecting King Henry. More suddenly arrives as he was occupied at the evening prayers. He dresses simply, and they try to convince him to put on his official attire, including his change of office. Norfolk tells More that he is disrespecting the king and his office. More says, the service of God is not a dishonor to any office, quote and unquote. His gown is caught up in his stockings, and Alice removes it for him. King Henry later arrives, and Thomas More regards him by bowing. King Henry then says he will be received casually without ceremony. Thomas More welcomes King Henry by bowing to him. Thomas More then introduces Alice, his wife, and Margaret, his daughter, who says she has never met the king. King Henry says he hears that Margaret is a scholar. The two of King Henry and Margaret speak Latin to each other. When the king realizes that Margaret's Latin is better than his own, he walks away from her. King Henry then changes the topic and challenges her to dance with him. He also wants to engage in a wrestling bout with Norfolk, whom he described his leg as a wrestler's leg. King Henry asks Alice what she prepares for dinner. She responds that she has a very simple supper. He then informs Margaret that he is also a scholar. Margaret then tells him that the people know his book on the 7 sacraments of the church. The king then admits that More has a hand in the book. King Henry then draws Thomas More aside to discuss the first issue with him. He also says the orchestra he brought to entertain Margaret. King Henry and Thomas More are now together. He tells More about his new ship. More responds that he has a lot of accomplishments. Henry doesn't go straight in his speech. He asks More if they are friends and says Wolsey himself named Thomas More his successor before he died. Thomas More says that Wolsey was a statesman of incomparable ability. The compliment doesn't go well with Henry. He says Wolsey failed him in an important matter, that is the matter of the divorce. Henry says that Wolsey wanted to be pope and laments the greediness of the English cardinals. King Henry changed the topic to his the battleship, and then the divorce matter. He asked More whether he thought of it since their last discussion. Henry is annoyed when More says that he cannot support the divorce. He says he doesn't understand why his friend would not support his request. That is the king, making reference to Thomas More as his friend. Thomas More responds that the king should take his dagger and cut his arm from his soldier. If that would mean he would agree to the divorce with a clear conscience. That is, whatever the king does, that's not going to be in support. More tries to remind Henry of his promise not to bother him with the divorce matter again. Henry says it was a joke as the matter is of great importance to him. He explains further that in the book of Leviticus, sleeping with one's brother's wife is prohibited. He's making reference to his first marriage to Catherine. Remember, Catherine was a brother's wife. He says he's been punished by God for that sin. He's denied of giving birth to a male child to succeed him. He wonders why More doesn't support him in the divorce and marriage issue. More responds that Henry doesn't need his support again, since every other person is in his support. Henry then admits that he needs his support, that is, he needs Thomas More's support because of the people's belief in his honesty. He condemns most of his followers that they are not genuine followers. That's the main reason Henry wanted Thomas More's support, because everybody believe that Thomas More is an honest person. So if he supports that, if support the force, there's going to be it's going to be a credible one if Thomas More supports. Eventually, Henry resolved not to force More to support him, but insists he keep quiet on the matter. He doesn't feel comfortable with the development and leaves without taking the dinner. After King Henry leaves in annoyance, Alice shows her displeasure with the way More angered the king. That is Thomas More's wife, Alice. He shows her displeasure with the way More angered the king. He advises him to allow himself to be ruled if he cannot rule. More defends himself that there's no way he can rule the king but himself. He says King Henry lives because of Lady Anne Boleyn, who likes to dance when it is 8 o'clock. That is, by 8 o'clock, the woman would like to dance. William Roper arrives at the scene, and Margaret shows her dissatisfaction with him. Roper then asks More whether he should take a seat over him in the next parliament. He admits that his views on the church have been modified and still has concern about Catholicism. He points out that the Catholic Church is sacred. Roper shows his displeasure with the reformations being implemented by More. The latter then tells him that there are certain things he cannot hear. Roper then accuses Thomas More of flattering the court and the king in order to maintain his position. Rich arrives and greets the people. That is Rich. He arrives and greets the people. More tries to introduce Roper to Rich, who says he knows him by reputation. Rich is suspicious of the capacity in which Roper knows him and suspects he is not welcome in Thomas More's home. More then asks whether he did something that makes him not welcome in the house. Rich gives More the information that Chapel and Cromwell have been asking for information about him and points to Matthew as one of the sources. That is, one of the sources that give out the information. More responds that the information gathering doesn't come as a surprise. It is expected. He then puts out a hand to steady Rich, who is already shaking. Rich afterward requests from More to be employed, but More turns him down. He tells More that he will be steadfast as he exits, but More doesn't listen to him. Roper and the rest tell More to arrest Rich, but More tells them that Rich has done nothing wrong. Alice says he is dangerous. Roper says he's a spy, and Margaret says he is bad. That is Rich. More and Roper argue over the supremacy of man and God's law. Roper alleges that More believes only in law and not in God. More says he puts his faith in the law while living on earth. He says further that he stands on firm ground and that Roper is lost at sea due to his seagoing principles, quote unquote. More denies putting his hands in the marriage between Roper and Margaret, his daughter. Alice asks him why Cromwell collects information about him. He replies her that he is a public figure and that somebody somewhere is also collecting information about Cromwell. More also explains that he believes he's on the right side in the matter of the divorce because he's on the right side of the law and has not disobeyed the king. So far he's on the right side of the law, he believes that he has not disobeyed King Henry. That's what he's saying there. Now, Act 1, Scene 8. The common man enters, pulling the basket as the publican of a pub called the loyal subject. The common man says that he cannot think deeply like More, who is educated, so should not be expected to act with deep principles. Cromwell enters and asks the publican if the place is good to carry out conspiracy. He says we want to warm without too many little dark corners. The government is playing another role here. The publican, who is surprised, answers that he doesn't understand him and that there are only 4 corners in the room. Cromwell then asks him scornfully if he knows him. The publican answers no. Cromwell then accuses him of being tactful and saying less than he knows. He says further that if someone like the publican is tactful, somebody like him will be wondering who is the fool. He then tells publican, who keeps on saying he doesn't understand, to get out. Cromwell goes to the exit and calls on Rich to come into the room. Cromwell, who says he is intoxicated with success, announces that he has assumed the position of collector of revenue for York. He adds that he will offer it to Rich in exchange for information. Cromwell makes a joke about the king and is able to convince Rich that he can be bought. Cromwell says that it is the responsibility of him and Rich to make the divorce issue convenient for the king. He stresses that the only problem is More that must approve it. He then says that the king will get the divorce whether More supports it or not, and that he has to bend to the will of the king or be kicked out of the way. This is a signal to Thomas More. That is, at all costs, he must bend, that he must support King Henry. Rich laments about his loss of innocence and tells Cromwell about the silver cup given to him, which More receives as a bribe. Cromwell corroborates it that he lost his innocence a long time ago. In response to Cromwell's question, Rich answers that he sells the silver cup for 50 shillings. Rich admits further that More got the cup from a litigant as a gift in the court of request. He then feels guilty for betraying Thomas More and wonders what Cromwell needs the information for. Cromwell says that Thomas More is a man of principle and tries to hold to his principles. He adds that More is only fit for heaven and not earth. He admits that More has plenty of sense but could be frightened to change his mind. Rich responds that Cromwell is making a mistake, that More cannot be scared easily. Cromwell, who insists that More can be frightened, asks whether he has found himself in trouble before. He then seizes Rich's wrist and puts his hand in the candle flame. Rich screams and wonders how Cromwell enjoys inflicting pain on him by putting his hand in the candle flame. Cromwell doesn't count it as something bad and is proud of it. That is the end of scene 8. That is Act 1, scene 8. So if you are new on this channel, try and subscribe to the channel by clicking the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you'll be notified whenever there's a video produced. You can also share any of our videos on any social media platform. Invite your friends to join us because we have a lot to discuss when it comes to literature in English. Thank you and God bless.